And of course, every once in a while, somebody will come forward and say they have evidence as to disprove the Patterson-Gimlin film. Um, I just thought, for the most part, that was probably what's going on. Kind of a notoriety thing. Now, I'm not saying that their evidence is made up, but at the same time, something did come forward recently after this was released about the 2019 hypnosis a regression that Bob Gimlin had, um, with a trained professional, a trained regressive hypnotist. And I suggest, if you have not seen that video, and it's on YouTube. I had seen it once before years ago, but I just briefly. But the one that's out there now is pretty much pretty, how would I want to say it, is more involved. I've seen a lot of regression therapy sessions in my time for a bunch of different phenomena, abductions and sightings and other strange things that they wanted more information on. But I think the gentleman who actually did I think his name was Meacham, who did the regression with Bob, I think he did a very good job. And there's a lot of people out there that try to do it that just are not as good at it as he was. But he really took the time. And in fact, he got to know Bob a little bit before they even did this. And when Gimlin decided he would go and have it filmed during the session, after seeing that, it makes it much harder to even just discount what he had been saying and what he's been saying all along. For those people who don't know Bob Gimlin, and I don't say that I really know him well, but he's always seemed to be very forthcoming, a very truthful person. And he hasn't deviated at all on what he has seen and what his thoughts were during that encounter with him and Roger Patterson. But I don't know. It's just like everything else. When somebody comes forward with something like this, makes a big production out of it, and announces to the world that an iconic sighting was probably fake, well, you're going to get reaction. So, that's my thoughts on it. Do I think the PG film is real? I do believe it's an actual Bigfoot, and I have for a long time. But it's one of those things where it's not a clean take. You can, I guess anybody can look at it and form their own opinion, and if they lean to one side or the other, they can kind of reinforce that. But people want binary answers, if it's real or it's a hoax, and nothing in between. So that's kind of where we leave ourselves now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting with it too, is I believe it's a real film. I really do.
Yeah.
We also know, and it's always been public knowledge in the Bigfoot world, that Roger Patterson was wanting to make a Bigfoot documentary,
Mm-hmm.
which he filmed a lot of it in Yakima, Washington, his home.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to, I don't credit the BFRO very often. Usually I'm one harping on them, but Matt Moneymaker made a great insight about this. And it really stuck with me and resonated with my feelings on the film. And he said, this is nothing new. Just because they were filming the documentary doesn't mean that what they filmed at Bluff Creek was fake. And if you look at the Harmonious suit that Bill Harmonious, or I believe his name is Bill Harmonious, was
Hieronymus.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
Hieronymus,
yes.
Yeah.
Was wearing, it looks nothing like the Patterson-Gimlin footage.
No.
He doesn't walk the same. He doesn't move the same. It's like if you were to throw a bear rug over your shoulders. That's what it looks like. All it's going to do is match your body style. Patty had width to her. She was a big girl in the shoulders. She had, you know, the hair going down her back, the muscles movement that you could see, the breasts in the front. There was a lot about her that made her extremely unique.
Mhm.
That the Hieronymus film or the Hieronymus photos show something completely different.
Yeah, there's no comparison in my opinion. I mean, it's a layered problem, we have modern sighting clusters that show signs of both genuine witness experience and then social amplifications to it. I don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, uh, it's hard to tell. I mean, I guess the best thing at this point is to just let it ride itself out and see what happens. And as people come forward, and a lot of people involved in the Bigfoot world are kind of not saying a whole lot. And I don't think it's because that they believe that they were played. I think it has a lot to do with that they just want to see more proof as to what is really there in the film itself. Now I've heard people say who have believed in the Patty film say that they did see the presentation and it put questions in their mind. Well, I can understand that. But I think something to be verifiable just needs time to iron out and to try to show itself the best it can, because at this point right now it's all hype, and I just don't believe we can get a real understanding at this point now. I think there's going to be much more. There's got to be much more presented as opposed to this film.
Well, I think the big thing with a lot of the people who are waiting on this and making comments, whether you look at some of the big names, whether it's Lyle Blackburn or Ken Gerhard or many others that are out there, is they haven't seen the film
Hmm.
and they are just waiting to see what truly is going on before they make any sort of comment about it whatsoever. So I can see why people are not rushing to judgment, because they do want to see truly what's going on. That being said, at some point, do we not have to shut down this debate? I mean, this film, I think we can officially say the Patterson-Gimlin film has overtaken the Zapruder film as, the number one studied video in the world. I mean, can we finally say that?
Yeah, I think we can. Of course, this is a Bruder film. We knew what happened there. We saw what happened there, and there was not really much interpretation of to what was shown. Now with the PG film, yeah, I mean it's a lot of interpretation, but it's presented in a way that it doesn't seem that it was hoaxed on purpose. In other words, that there was any indication that what they showed, or how they obtained the film, was something that was staged. Um, who knows? I mean, I don't know if they have something else that's going to come out later. We'll just have to wait and see. But at this point now, even though I haven't seen the film, I'm going to need more to be convinced.